It's worth the trip just to see this.
Coming up on today's Wild West, we'll settle up for a high country getaway at Wyoming's Medicine Bow Lodge.
Will Rogers was the most famous person in the world.
Plus, the lasting legacy and historic estate of America's legendary Indian cowboy, Will Rogers.
There's never been anybody like him since.
Plus, the Western paintings of Morgan Weistling.
Every character I put in is real to me.
It's all next on today's Wild West. The Wild West. It's still out there. And we'll show you how to find it. This is today's Wild West. Fishing. Rafting. Riding, relaxing.
I've never done anything quite like this. It's been incredible.
Welcome to Wyoming's Medicine Bow Lodge.
We love the place.
An intimate boutique dude ranch that takes just 15 guests at a time.
It's just homey. The food is great. The staff is wonderful. And the horses are really good. What more could you ask for?
Medicine Bow offers something you won't find at any other ranch.
Me and Debbie.
Tim and Debbie Bishop have owned the ranch since 2002.
It's not that we're special, but it's just we enjoy what we do and we enjoy the people. The thing that makes this place really special is the guest.
First built in 1917, it's a ranch of rustic elegance,
I'm rustic and she's the elegant.
whose guests include those who can afford to go anywhere in the world.
And at the same time, we've had people who come and they've been saving for 10 years and this is way out of their range. And it's nice because they all get along.
This is Stetson.
Most everybody comes to ride,
Going downhill, lean backwards.
from beginners
I've never ridden a horse before.
All right.
to those who keep horses back home in Kentucky.
Try to come out west, see different scenery, and just get away for a few days.
The scenery is definitely different here in Wyoming. Here in July, we'll ride by snowbanks at 10,000 feet.
It's worth the trip just to see this.
Rock formations that look like a Western movie set. Plus trails that wind through stands of mountain timber, where a fallen tree can sometimes block the way.
More challenging. That's what we came to do right there. Really good ride. A lot of fun.
Back at the ranch, another challenge.
All right, go! We'll just work around.
Horseback tag.
Every rider puts a bandana on each side of their belt. You try and pull other riders' bandanas. Whoever has the most bandanas wins.
I don't like the spot. I'm getting cornered.
Time!
Time. I got one. Oh, that's fun.
I got one. Living the dream.
Oh, be careful now. That one a straight ball.
Okay. Back in the beautiful historic lodge, there are more games to play. Pool, ping pong, a board game, or you can just chill. I haven't even been here for 24 hours, but I've already discovered one of my favorite places at Medicine Bow Lodge. Hanging out on the beautiful deck behind the main lodge on the banks of this beautiful creek. What a relaxing place to be. Can't stay here forever. Dinner awaits, and the meals are a true highlight.
Debbie's a really great cook. And I know that you can get really great cuisine anywhere, but I've been really taken aback by her meals.
I do really enjoy it. It's my creativity that gets to come out.
Tailored to any dietary need.
And then we have the flexitarians. They told us they were all vegetarians and then they ate ribs and chicken and bacon and everything else we served. And they said, well, we're flexitarians this week because the food's so good.
Hey guys, lunch is ready right now if you want to come in.
I win.
It takes some willpower not to eat too much, but hopefully we burn it all off riding. And not just on horses. You can hop on an e-bike or head down the mountain to nearby Saratoga to raft down the Platte River. We hit some very minor fast water a time or two, but mostly it's just a peaceful, relaxing float.
That is a big dude.
Oh, they're huge. The river's beautiful and wild. Lots of big pelicans make their homes here, along with a bunch of bald eagles. Through country that was once the Wild West.
That cliff down there is called Sheep Rock. There's rumor has it that the sheep herder was either hung or whatever, and all of his sheep were run off the cliff.
Oh, gee.
And so they named it Sheep Rock.
Who knows if it's true, but it does make a good story.
I don't know.
Back in the high country, another boat ride. Some of the guys head out to fish.
Have fun.
It's an idyllic spot. Just a short drive from the ranch. While the guys paddle off, ranch wrangler Charlie will try his luck from shore.
Really enjoyed working with the horses. They're all just so different. They're kind of like people.
A mountain thunderstorm is approaching, and the boys paddle back in.
Not a whole lot of bites today.
But no one's complaining.
How was it?
Good. Good.
Clay pigeons are the target back at the ranch after we get some basic instruction.
First rule, you are going to treat a gun like it's loaded, even if you know it is not.
Some of these guys have done this before. Some of us just get lucky. There are quieter pleasures too, like the chance to meet Clyde, a newborn mule. Fun way to end the day. Sunrise in Wyoming. We're hitting the road. Trailering the horses to a place called Baggett Rocks.
And we're off.
Got to ride through the sage to get to them, but it's all beautiful.
We're gonna go up that road there, through those rocks.
This is one of your favorite rides?
I like it.
We're soon climbing, heading up into country where Clint Eastwood would feel right at home. This is a day to remember, and when we get to the top, we pause to capture the moment.
Together.
I had a little, spin. Yeah, I had a girl with a lift.
Before riding on,
As good a ride as there is anywhere.
He is antisocial, but he's great.
in a landscape that is ever changing, as is the weather,
A little rain falling.
Yeah, just a little.
and help the cactus flowers grow. Then we're through a gate, into the woods, and down by the Encampment River, where we stop for lunch and give the horses a breather. Back in the saddle,
Did he like doing stuff like that?
Yes, he loved it.
we're headed back to the rocks. Passing an old selenium mine.
He probably shut down during World War II.
Lots of great views along the way. Good photo ops. And new discoveries, like the shed of a pronghorn.
Heading home.
We're back at the truck all too soon. The end of a wonderful ride that we won't soon forget.
One of the best rides I've ever taken.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, as we ride in, another group is riding out on an overnight pack trip where they'll tie up the horses and spend the night in a beautiful mountain meadow, throwing a football, chilling by a warm fire.
I feel like I'm just tucked away in a little piece of paradise.
Amazing. So beautiful up here. Just the peacefulness.
The rustic lodge, wonderful food, incredible scenery, and great horseback riding attracts all kinds of people from all over the world. including those whose lives may not be going exactly as they had hoped.
And we don't find that out till we start talking with them. And, well, we're here because we're about ready to split up.
And the best conversations happen in the kitchen. Just start visiting and sharing things.
We try to just listen, give them something solid they can. I want people to leave with more than they came with.
To be able to encourage them.
The flowers are amazing.
Our last day dawns, and we're back on the road again, up to the high country. It's the 8th of July, but still lots of snow on the ground.
When will the glaciers melt?
About the time it starts snowing again.
Ranch dogs Roper and Magnum are along for the ride. Tim leads young Leah here at the ranch for the second year in a row with her sister and their grandparents. It's an easy ride. We're here to sightsee, and it is like riding in a postcard. The dogs are getting their exercise. They're a little overdressed for the weather and cool off in the snowbanks when they get the chance. Ground level is where you get the best view of the wildflowers. They are amazing this summer, beautiful to see, as is everything.
It's worth the trip just to see this.
Yeah. It's all worth the trip. Riding, fishing, rafting, relaxing. Enjoying the rustic elegance of the ranch home of a caring couple. A place you may want to visit again. He left behind the last remaining polo field in Los Angeles. And so much more. The historic home of Will Rogers up next.
Follow him, Bobby, follow him.
They call it the Sport of Kings. And it's a perfect summer day for the players and their ponies to run.
Back in the 30s, there were 27.
On the last remaining outdoor grass polo field in Los Angeles.
We are so incredibly lucky to have this field right in the middle of Los Angeles.
It's all thanks to a man unlike any other.
He was a huge lover of polo.
Will Rogers.
When he bought this property, the very first thing he did was to grade this polo field.
I just think it's pretty exciting moving fast on the horse like that. And
The polo field is part of the 186-acre property the biggest star of his time once called home. Now a treasured California state park for all of us to enjoy.
It's definitely a hidden gem within the city of Los Angeles.
Part Cherokee and always proud of it, Will Rogers wrote 6 books, a daily newspaper column, hosted a Sunday night radio show, and made 70 motion pictures, becoming America's #1 movie star in 1934.
Here. Court's called to order.
So at the time of his death, Will Rogers was the most famous person in the world, not only in the United States, but in the world.
Tragically killed in a 1935 plane crash, Rogers was a humanitarian, humorist, entertainer, and cowboy philosopher who grew up with a rope in his hand on his father's 60,000-acre Oklahoma cattle ranch.
When Will was 6 years old, he was introduced to trick roping, and he fell in love with it. He never stopped doing it.
And the tricks he did with that rope, some of which no one else has ever done, launched a career like no one else has ever had.
There's never been anybody like him since.
Starting out in Wild West shows, he added humor to his rope tricks in his popular vaudeville stage shows, and was the star of New York's Ziegfeld Follies until Hollywood offered him more money.
And a clean, straight roll into a 4-foot catch.
And this was his home.
The house is just magical. It's just beautiful. Everything in it is authentic.
2 homes, actually, that look pretty much like they did when Will lived here with his wife Betty and their 3 children.
And if Will were to walk through that door right now,
the tour begins in the first one.
He would recognize every artifact in this room.
A rustic cabin furnished in cowboy decor, intended to be a weekend getaway, and decorated with the works of his cowboy artist buddies.
All 3 had been honest-to-goodness cowboys.
Legends today, including Charlie Russell and Edward Breen.
And if you were a friend of Will's,
who once spent a week here,
he was going to rope you. So when he returned home, he sent Will that stuffed calf, instructing Will to rope the calf instead of his friends and relatives.
The house is like a museum and a cowboy's dream. The mounted animal heads were all gifts, like the longhorn with the very long horns, over 7 feet across.
Everything here was used by the Rogers family.
Like any movie star, Will and Betty had state-of-the-art stuff for 1927, like a hand-cranked player piano and an electric mixer.
Isn't that cute?
And there's lots of cool mementos and gifts. A parade saddle owned by actor Leo Carrillo and a giant Apache grain basket the kids used to hide in.
The largest Apache grain basket in existence.
By 1928, the entire family lived here full-time, using both the cabin and a second adjoining home with a more contemporary feel. Betty's grand piano dominates the living room.
And music was a big part of their lives. Will often sang in his movies.
Will's banjo was on the couch.
In 1899, Will had it shipped by train to the station. It just so happened that that day, Betty was helping her brother-in-law, the station agent. And when Will came to pick up that banjo, that's how they met.
And tucked into a wall,
this is 1/3 of Will's book collection.
Upstairs are the bedrooms and Will's study.
This is where he would have typed his daily newspaper column.
Nearby, his polo gear. A game he loved to play with friends like Walt Disney, Spencer Tracy, and Clark Gable, on a field where Howard Hughes supposedly once landed his airplane. Today, it's the home field of the Will Rogers Polo Club.
3rd month playing and riding ever. Yes.
Ever riding a horse?
Yes,
and you're out playing polo in 3 months?
Yes.
And they can teach you how to play this game.
I took the classes from Hannah.
Even if you've never ridden a horse.
And it looks like you're having a blast.
Oh, I'm hooked. I'm totally hooked.
While not everyone can play polo, everyone is invited to watch the games for free. Played here from May to October. And if you want to ride a horse, you can rent one.
Learn to ride.
Learn to ride, take a trail.
Ride all up in the mountains up here and see everything that Will Rogers saw every day.
Will loved his horses and built them a castle. The barn jokes built, he liked to say. Between the barn and the house is a huge lawn, a perfect place for a picnic, or on this night, an outdoor movie.
Will Rogers, life begins at 40.
A double feature. Beginning with the 100th anniversary of Will's first film, The Ropin' Fool, a silent picture capturing his incredible skill with a rope.
And to be able to say that the film is 100 years old and there's still stuff in it that no one's ever done.
Trick roper and actor Will Roberts, who entertained the crowd before the movie, can really appreciate the master he portrays.
I've been a magician for 40 years. I juggle, I'm a balloon artist, I'm an actor. All these things I've ever done, whips, knives, ropes, everything. Out of all of them, the hardest is trick roping.
10 seconds!
Earlier in the evening, the kids got to try their hand at twirling a rope. Somewhere, Will Rogers is smiling.
I really think he's looking down right now and he's like, yes, this is exactly what that should be happening at my house. So.
Today, Will's house is your house, left by this uncommon man of the people for the people to enjoy. Kicking back on the grass or kicking up their pony on the last grass polo field in Los Angeles.
There's so many things that you can do here at Will Rogers State Historic Park. It truly is the hidden gem of Los Angeles.
Still to come, the amazing story and Western art of Morgan Weistling and his very talented family.
And this is the photos of him when he first got captured.
World War II shot down his dream of becoming a comic strip artist until his plane was shot down and he was sent to a German POW camp.
So he started a comic strip. He gathered cigarette wrappers and bound them into a little sketchbook. Every 3 days, he'd add one panel to the story, and it would get passed around the entire camp. So for the guys, it was like having something to look forward to.
Award-winning Western artist Morgan Weistling grew up hearing that story as his artistic father taught him how to draw.
That story made him a hero in my eyes. That, you know, that he was like, wow, that is so cool that while he's in prison camp, he's creating this story and helping others get through their time.
When the POW camp was suddenly liberated, Howard Weistling managed to grab his prisoner file, but the comic book got left behind.
I always said, Dad, why didn't you bring any of those drawings home? I'd love to know what all that looked like.
Howard never did have an art career, but his son Morgan has long been one of the most acclaimed Western artists in the country.
It was such a natural thing for me. I always did it.
Gives credit to both his parents.
Most kids are being told, don't be an artist, you'll never make a living at it. My parents, when I was 12 years old, were getting on my case because I still wasn't studying my anatomy like I was supposed to. My mom always used to tell me, you can't be a good artist unless you know your anatomy. So I was just early trained to think in terms of working on my art.
Like his father, Morgan portrays life in the Old West.
You know, I'd love to be a movie director and do Westerns. That would be awesome.
And like a Western film, each painting tells a story.
I only get one frame, one moment in a movie, and try to tell a story in that one moment. It's not easy.
He actually began his career creating Hollywood movie posters.
Working on mega million dollar movies and working with, you know, all the different film companies and everything. And it was just like a crazy thing for a 19-year-old to be doing.
That came after years of study under another huge influence.
I actually did the poster for Last Action Hero.
Fred Fixler.
The greatest teacher I could have ever possibly hoped for. And that changed the course of the rest of my life as an artist.
Morgan was 15 when his mom enrolled him in Fixler's now defunct art school.
I'm going to high school. Not that I had any interest in it. I was doing what I had to do. And then the minute school was over, I would drive to Reseda and go to art school for night classes. So my life was always revolved around going to my night classes.
There was no formal graduation. The day just came when Morgan was ready. But after 14 years in the movie poster business, change was in the wind again.
Computers started coming into it, and a lot of the work for illustrators like me was getting replaced with photography and Photoshop.
A friend's father was an art collector and encouraged Morgan to do a painting.
He said, do a painting and we'll go to Scottsdale, Arizona, and we'll show the galleries. So I did a painting. Went into trailside galleries, and they just were like, yes, we'll take it. And while I was there, they sold it. I hadn't even framed it yet. Well, okay, this might be easy.
It isn't easy, but it has been successful. Morgan's a two-time winner of the top prize at the National Cowboy Museum's prestigious Prix de West art show and sale in Oklahoma, along with many other awards.
And then the minute you get off the podium and accepted it, you go, now what am I going to do?
He has no shortage of ideas, and they all center on a cast of characters he's created who make reoccurring appearances in his paintings, each with his own story.
Every character I put in is real to me, and they have a relationship that lives on from painting to painting. My book that's out, I tried to show how that happens throughout the course of my painting. So if you get one of my paintings, you're getting a part of the story of a larger group and storyline of a universe that I've kind of created.
You won't find gunfights in Weistling's paintings. His tales focus largely on the more peaceful aspect of pioneer life in the community his paintbrush has created.
I am trying to paint a world that you want to live with. I'd like to be feeling like I'm uplifted by what I'm looking at and feel like it's a positive message more. I paint the true courage of the West and the pioneers that forged the new country. And that's the kind of ideals that I'm trying to paint.
The artistic home and heritage Morgan grew up with lives on today.
It's kind of like having art school every day.
His wife, Joanne Peralta, is a fine artist.
I just have been a fanatic about Westerns since I was a little girl.
With her own take on the West.
Well, we have a rule. We are not allowed to critique one another's work and give unsolicited advice or opinions until the other person has said, you may do so.
Joanne's paintings have long been part of the prestigious Masters of the American West art show at the Autry Museum in Los Angeles, where her oil Spanish shawl won the coveted Artist's Choice Award.
When you have great artists together, the wonderful thing about that is it just inspires and encourages you to do your best. And I think we all need that. So it's fun. It's really great.
And their daughter, Brittany, who grew up modeling for Morgan, has been exhibiting her paintings at the Autry show since she was 15.
Yeah, it's very surreal. And the older I get, the more I realize just how crazy that is. And I'm just trying to make the most of that and not squander it.
Younger daughter, Sienna, named after the color, inherited the same artistic talent, but is currently focusing on languages instead of art.
We're normal people, you know.
It does make for some unusual family vacations.
When we take a trip, half the car is packed with art supplies. So instead of just sightseeing, we paint. That's how we do our vacations, you know. And so that's a little different.
It's a vacation Morgan's late father would enjoy, whose missing POW camp comic books suddenly reappeared 75 years later.
After my dad had already passed away, I got an email, a random email out of nowhere of some guy in New York who said, I think I have some sketches of your dad's. They were in a truck full of Nazi artifacts, and it says on the front, a Western by H.G. Weistling, and which is why the guy was able to find me. And so now to this day, now I get to actually have the drawings that my dad used to tell me about all those years. I just wish he could have lived to know that this is back in the family's hands.
There's so much more to this story of this unique family of artists, which continues to unfold to this day, just like the new tales of the Old West, told through the paintbrush of Morgan Weistling.
It doesn't, does it?
That's it for now. We're back next time with more cool stuff from today's Wild West. I'm Mark Bedore. We'll see you down the trail. For more information on the people and places featured in today's Wild West, or to order show DVDs and books, visit todayswildwest.com. Funding for Today's Wild West provided by the Leggett Foundation, the Chuckwagon Trail Riders Foundation, and Monty Carroll Montgomery.